Hey, good morning, class. Let me introduce myself to you. My name is Ahmad Sulaeman, and today I'm going to substitute Mr. Franz to teach the class today. And the topic today is American family. The American family today. We talk about the American family today. Okay, so family life is changing now in America. Two parents households are on the decline in the United States as divorce, remarriage, and cohabitation are on the rise. And families are smaller now, both due to the growth of single-parent household and the drop in fertility. Not only are Americans having fewer children, but the circumstances surrounding parenthood have changed. While in the early 1960s, babies typically arrived within a marriage. Today, fully 4 in 10 births occur to women who are single or living with a non-marital partner. At the same time, family structures have transformed. So has the role of mothers in the workplace and in the home. As more moms have entered the labor force, more have become breadwinners in many cases, primary breadwinners in their families. As a result of this change, there is no longer one dominant family form in the U.S. Parents today are raising their children against a backdrop of increasingly diverse and, for many, constantly evolving family forms. By contrast, in 1960, the height of the post-World War II baby boom, there was one dominant family form. At that time, 70% of all children were living in a family with two married parents in their first marriage. By 1980, 61% of children were living in this type of family, and today less than half are. It's about 46%. The declining share of children living in what is often deemed a traditional family has been largely supplanted by the rising shares of children living with single or cohabiting parents. Not only has the diversity in family living arrangement increased since the early 1960s, but so has the fluidity of family, non-marital cohabitation and divorce, along with the prevalence of remarriage and non-marital recoupling in the U.S., make for family structures that in many cases continue to evolve throughout a child's life. While in the past, the child born to a married couple, as most children were, was very likely to grow up in a home with those two partners, this is much less common today. As a child, living arrangements change with each adjustment in the relationship status of their parents. For example, one study found that over a 3-year period, about 3 in 10, 31% children younger than 6 had experienced a major change in their family or household structure in the form of parental divorce, separation, marriage, cohabitation, or death. Okay, next. I understand. Is there anyone asking? Okay, we move to the next phase. The growing complexity and diversity of families. The share of children living in a two-parent household is at the lowest point in more than half a century. 69% are in the type of family arrangement today, compared with 70% in 2000 and 87% in 1960. And even children living with two parents are more likely to be experiencing a variety of family arrangement due to increase in divorce, remarriage, and cohabitation. Today, fully 62% of children live with two married parents are an all-time low. Some 15% are living with parents in marriage, and 7% are living with parents who are cohabiting. Conversely, the share of children living with one parent stands at 26%, up from 22% in 2000 and just 9% in 1960. This change has been driven in part by the fact that Americans today are exiting marriage at higher rate than in the past. Now about 2/3, 67% of people younger than 50 who had ever married are still in their first marriage. In comparison, that share was 83% in 1960, and while among men, about 76% of first marriages that began in the late 1980s were still intact 10 years later. Fully 88% of marriages that began in the late 1950s lasted as long, according to analysis of Census Bureau data. Okay, that's topic about the growing complexity and diversity of families. Next, we move to the rise of single-parent families and change in two-parent families. Despite the decline over the past half-century in children residing with two parents, a majority of kids are still growing up in this type of living arrangement. However, less than half, or about 46%, are living with two parents who are both in their first marriage. This share is down from 61% in 1980s and 73 in 1960. An additional 15% of children are living with two parents, at least one of whom has been married before. This share has remained relatively stable for decades. In the remainder of two-parent families, the parents are cohabiting but are not married. Today, 7% of children are living with cohabiting parents. However, a far larger share will experience this kind of living arrangement at some point during their childhood. For instance, estimates suggest that about 39% of children will have had a mother in a cohabiting relationship by the time they turn 12, and by the time they turn 16, almost half, or about 46%, will have experience with their mother cohabiting. In some cases, this will happen because a never married mother enters into a cohabiting relationship. In other cases, a mother may enter into a cohabiting relationship after a marital breakup. The decline in children living in two-parents family has been offset by an almost threefold increase in those living with just one parent. Typically, the mother, fully 1/4, about 26% of children younger than age 18 are now living with a single parent, up from just 9% in 1960 and 22% in 2000. The share of children living without either parent stands at 5%. Most of these children are being raised by grandparents. The majority of white, Hispanic, and Asian children are living in two-parent households, while less than half of black children are living in this type of arrangement. Furthermore, at least half of Asian and white children are living with two parents both in their first marriage. The shares of Hispanic and black children living with two parents in their first marriage are much lower. Asian children are the most likely to be living with both parents. Fully 84% are, including 71% who are living with parents who are both in their first marriage. Some 13% of Asian kids are living in single-parent households. while 11% are living with remarried parents and just 3% are living with parents who are cohabiting. Roughly 8 in 10, about 70%, 78%, while children are living with two parents, including about half or about 52% with parents who are both in their first marriage and 19% with two parents in remarriage. 6% have parents who are cohabiting, about 1 in 5, 19%, while children are living with a single parent. Among Hispanic children, two-thirds live with two parents. All told, 43% live with two parents in their first marriage, while 12% are living with parents in remarriage, and 11% are living with parents who are cohabiting, and 29% of Hispanic children live with a single parent. The living arrangements of the children stand in stark contrast to the other major racial and ethnic groups. The majority, 54%, are living with a single parent. Just 38% are living with two parents, including 22% who are living with two parents who are both in their first marriage. Some 9% are living with remarried parents, and 7% are residing with parents who are cohabiting. Children with at least one college-educated parents are far more likely to be living in a two-parent household than to be living with two parents in a first marriage. Then are kids whose parents are less educated. Fully 88% of children who have at least one parent with a bachelor's degree or more are living in a two-parent household, including 67% who are living with two parents in their first marriage. In comparison, some 68% of children who have parents with some college experience are living in a two-parent household, and just 40% are living with parents who are both in a first marriage. About 6 in 10, or about 59%, children who have a parent with a high school diploma are in a two-parent household, including 33% who are living with parents in their first marriage. Meanwhile, just over half, or about 54% of children whose parents lack a high school diploma are living in a two-parent household, including 33% whose parents are in their first marriage. Blended families. According to the most recent data, 16% of children are living in what Census Bureau terms blended family. It's called by blended families, a household with a step-parent, step-sibling, or half-sibling. This share has remained stable since the early 1990s, when reliable data first became available. At that time, 15% of kids lived in blended family households. All told, about 8% are living with a step-parent, and 12% are living with step-siblings or half-siblings. Many, but not all, remarriages involve blended families. According to data from the National Center for Health Statistics, 6 in 10, or 63% women in remarriages are in blended families, and about half of these remarriages involve stepchildren who live with the remarried couple. Hispanic, Black, and white children are equally likely to live in a blended family. About 17% of Hispanic and Black kids are living with a step-parent, step-sibling, or a half-sibling, as are 15% of white kids. Among Asian children, however, 7%, a far smaller share, are living in blended family. This low share is consistent with the finding that Asian children are more likely than others to be living with two married parents, both of whom are in the first marriage. Okay, is there anyone want to ask about the topic that I've been explained about? Okay, maybe no one asking, and you all understand about the topics that I've explained about American family. So now I'll give you a task. Now you have to make a summary of the topics American family that I've been explained about, and the deadline is in the next meeting. Okay, maybe that's all from me. Thanks for your attention. I'm sorry for my mistakes. And the last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.